Coal and natural gas are made from things mostly plants that lived and died long ago. It's taken hundreds of millions of years for nature to create enough of the special conditions that save the carbon and energy in plants to form the fossil fuels that we use today. Fossil fuels are very precious resources because they are non-renewable. Here's how it works. Fossil fuels were formed from the fossilized remains of dead plants and animals that once lived millions of years ago. Oil and natural gas are the products of the deep burial and decomposition of dead plants and animals. Heat and pressure in the absence of oxygen transform the decomposed material into gas and crude oil. The oil and gas then migrates through the pores in the rocks to eventually collect in the reservoir. There are lots of debate on defining renewable energy. However, from our point of view, it is defined as the energy that comes from resources which are naturally replenished on a human timescale, such as sunlight, wind, biomass, waves, and geothermal heat. Unlike fossil fuels, which takes up millions of years to form, energy in biomass is accumulated only over a month, as in straw, or through many years, as in wood. So that leads to a question. What are the differences between fossil fuels and renewables? Burning of fossil fuels was responsible for 79% of US greenhouse gas emissions in 2010. Methane and carbon dioxide emissions are dangerous since these gases insulate the planet and could lead to potentially catastrophic changes in the Earth's climate. The combustion of coal releases air pollutants such as acid rain inducing sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and mercury. Carbon dioxide is the main greenhouse gas. In 2013, 82% of human-caused greenhouse gas emissions were carbon dioxide. Another greenhouse gas, methane, comes from coal mines, oil, and natural gas operations. It represented about 9% of total emissions. Nitrous oxide is emitted through the use of nitrogen fertilizers, from burning of fossil fuels, and from certain industrial and waste management processes. As for renewables, there are no greenhouse gas emissions except for biomass. This is because biomass needs direct combustion to produce energy, while other renewables produce energy by the help of natural movements and mechanisms of the environment, such as geothermal, hydropower, and wind energy. However, the amount of greenhouse gases emitted by biomass combustion are only some compared to fossil fuels.
One type of fossil fuel is coal. What is coal? Coal power in industry is cheap and readily available. There are abundant deposits of coal around the world, especially in Canada, since coal is one of Canada's largest exports. However, for all of these things, let's not forget that coal is non-renewable. Once it's gone, it's gone. At present, coal is still plentiful, but sooner or later it will run out. Compared to fossil fuels, renewables have one major barrier, which is undeveloped infrastructure. Developing new renewable resources will require large initial investment to build one. This is because, to build an infrastructure, there are new equipments need to be bought and workers need to be trained well to install and operate the equipment properly in order to maintain a safe working environment. Before renewables energy was introduced to the world, the source of energy is mainly from the burning of fossil fuels. After the emerging of renewables, there are few countries such as China, United States, and Brazil started to utilize the renewable sources to produce electricity. In 2013, fossil fuel had 87% share of global energy consumption, followed by renewables at 9% and nuclear at 4%. Fossil fuels, a legacy of disaster. Death or injury are unavoidable in this industry. Although there is a certain death rate recorded for renewable industry, it cannot surpass the fatalities caused by fossil fuels. The Torrey Canyon incident in the spring of 1967 is one of the world's most serious oil spill. It was estimated that as much as 32 million gallons of crude oil spilled into the ocean. The accident is related to two noted flaws in the steering controls design. First, the steering lever was designed to switch the steering to a control mode, and it is intended to use for maintenance only, which disconnected the rudder from the steering wheel. The second flaw noted is the design of the steering selector unit did not provide an indication of the peculiar mode at the helm. As a result, the tanker crashed into Pollard's Rock on the Seven Stones Reef and oil began to spill. After days of trying to float the vessel and fail, the authorities decided to drop 42 of 1,000-pound bomb on the ships alongside with cans of aviation fuel to make the fire blaze. After a few bombing attacks, the Torrey Canyon finally sank. Piper Alpha is an offshore oil and gas platform that suffered explosion in July 1988. The accident killed 165 out of 220 crew members, including 2 crews from a standby vessel Sandhaven. The accident was primarily caused by maintenance work simultaneously carried out on one of the high-pressure condensate pump and a safety valve which led to a leak in condensates. Not aware of maintenance done at one of the pumps, a night worker turned on the alternate pump. Unable to handle the pressure, several explosions happened. On Monday, 27th of February 2012 at approximately 7:25 a.m., a fire broke out in the bunker house for Units 9 and 10. The fire was brought under control by 2:48 p.m., but smoldering of remaining fuel in the bunkers continued for a number of days. The fire developed from smoldering wood pellets in one of the bunkers at Saturday, 25 February that had been initiated by hot dust and embers falling into the bunker. The smoldering then had been controlled immediately by capping the affected area with high expansion free suppressant foam. Further application of foam and increased monitoring of the area continued throughout the weekend. The plant was out of service during that time and no material was added to or removed from the smoldering bunker. By these statistics, renewables are the safest power source compared to fossil fuels. We have decided to choose renewables which will benefit the current global conditions economically, socially, and environmentally. So, which field requires more enhancement or improvements in terms of process safety? We choose fossil fuels. We take an example for the incident of the Piper Alpha. There are 3 flaws identified regarding the incidents. Firstly, the gas compression unit were installed next to the central control room. We can improvise by moving the central control room further away from the gas compression units. Next, lack of communication between staffs where they do not know there is a pipework which had been sealed with a temporary cover and no safety valve, gas got leak out. This situation can be avoided if there is a logbook created where whenever there is a shift between staffs, they know what happened before their shift. Lastly, the design of the facility which lacked the capacity to stand high temperature. We can substitute the material of the pipeline to the more sustainable material and do maintenance or checkup every few months. Safety are not legal requirements but a human responsibility.